Blog Talk Radio.
I think this situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it.
Fun has just begun.
Yes, it has, because That Nerd Show 2.0 is back this Sunday, and we got a great show for you. It's a music show. We're going to be debating the top 25 greatest albums of all time. And with the crowd that we have today, with our panel, our two music bloggers, Amberlyn and Sheila, or Miss A.E. Fraser, as a professional name. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting debate. So, everybody, welcome to That Nerd Show. I'm Marcus Blake, one of your hosts. Brendan is with me as always.
Hello, nerds.
And say hi to Miss Fraser and Miss Moore. Welcome to That Nerd Show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, ladies.
Hi.
Like I said, it's a rock and roll show, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of interesting debate about what we choose, but you're just going to have to wait around to the last half of the hour and see what we chose. We didn't even post our blog on combining the list yet because we want you to hear us out and give you our reasons why we're picking these albums. So, and no, unfortunately not, as a family member pointed out to me today, why there was no Neil Diamond in our top 25. We're not saying Neil Diamond isn't great. He just doesn't crack the top 25. But he did write a lot of great songs for other music artists that might crack the top 25.
He wrote a song that gets constantly played at Fenway Park that's about Carolyn Kennedy when she was like 8 years old. That's friggin' creepy.
Yes, he did do that. And
the lyrics to that song might be, "I'm a pedophile." I mean, come on. I hate that song. I can't stand it.
The only person that's probably going to put that song in the top 25 is probably Jared from Subway these days, but, you know.
Oh, well played.
Yes,
well played.
I went there.
Too soon? Hey, too late.
We couldn't resist. But anyway, before we get to all that, we've got reviews for you. We've got news. There's a lot happening in the nerd universe this week. So we're going to start with this. Yes, more Ghostbusters news. And
why?
Go ahead and cringe, everybody.
If I said why.
So, well, this came out. It might actually be a good thing once we get through the news story, but an animated Ghostbusters film is in development with Sony, with Ivan Reitman producing and directing. So
okay, getting better.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. There has been talks that this might actually replace the other Ghostbusters movie that is going to have Channing Tatum in it. So,
well, that's another step in the right direction. We got rid of Channing Tatum. We've got Ivan and Reitman involved. This is 2 steps in the right direction. Where's the 3 steps?
We're getting better with our Ghostbusters news. That's all I can say. But yes, basically yes, Sony is trying to develop it. There's no timeline about there's no timeline of when it will come out and where it's going or anything like that. Definitely after the other movie gets released next summer in July. But we'll see what happens as an animated film. Now, for all you nerds out there, I don't know if you remember, but there were 2 Ghostbusters animated series, the real Ghostbusters that aired from 1986 to 1991, and then the Extreme Ghostbusters, which came about in 1997, which I don't even remember that, honestly.
Yeah, it was not good. The real Ghostbusters is where it's at. That was actually written by J. Michael Straczynski, who also wrote Babylon 5, and actually my wife and I have that complete box set because it's awesome. Yeah,
so... and I treat anything with Ghostbusters when I hear that we're going to be doing stuff besides the 4 women coming back to it. Like I might go see it, but if the animated stuff sucks, I'm just going to revert back to my childhood and watch the real Ghostbusters because that was awesome. Just like I've tried giving Gotham a chance, and I just end up going back to the Batman animated series because that never disappoints.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Okay, another thing that's in development, and here you go, nerds. This might actually be a really good thing. HBO is considering a Watchmen TV series. And I think that if you're going to have one, HBO is a great network to do it because you can do a lot more with HBO. So I don't know.
You can't have that. You can't have that sex scene in the flying machine on CBS. That ain't gonna work.
No.
And you can't also have the Big Blue Hot Rod on CBS either. that's not gonna work.
No.
Even FX, that would be tough. A tough sell.
Right. HBO is already pretty much set with Game of Thrones. We're okay with Taboo. Thank you, George R.R. Martin. So why not? So I like the idea of a Watchmen TV series. I think that's a great thing that you can do. Nothing against the movie, but there's a lot more you can do with the Watchmen. So
is it going to be like the comic that Alan Moore did, or is it going to be the ones they're running now, where it's the origins and stuff?
That we don't know. Basically, it's just saying that they're considering doing it, and it's just early development stages. But it's one of those things that for fans of HBO, write in, campaign for it if you really want Watchmen. But then again, I guess it comes down to which comic book version that you really like. So we shall see what happens with that. And speaking of comic book stuff, this did get announced. George Miller will not be directing a Man of Steel sequel. So for the fans out there that actually really wanted this, George Miller will not be. So I'm personally kind of glad of this. I wasn't really that excited to hear him directing a Superman movie. Nothing against what he has done. I love the Mad Max movies, but just did not do it for me as a Superman fan. So we pretty much know where Brendan comes down. This is the category of who cares.
Well, no, but I can understand where you're coming from. I just don't think his film style meshes well with the material.
Right. I guess if you want to experiment a little bit, kind of like when Tim Burton took over Batman, but then again, we considered that good considering what we had before. We reverted back to a very dark Batman, and it worked. And at that time, it worked well. I just don't think now with what they're doing with comic book movies that George Miller would be the right person. But there's a lot of other talented directors out there that could, take this on, and we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah.
All right, more casting news for all you Twin Peaks fans out there. Robert Knepper has been cast. We don't know what he's going to be playing, but if you know who he is, he was from Prison Break, and he was in the Heroes. That's right. That was actually really the big one. And then, of course, he was in the third Transporter movie, but he plays a great villain, so I'm assuming he's playing a villain.
Yeah, it would be really weird for him to play a good guy. It could be an interesting good guy, but he does play a great villain.
Yes, I could see him in. I mean, this is Twin Peaks and David Lynch. He could be that jovial, family doctor that delivers all the kids in the city and gives lollipops, and then it turns out he's a serial killer.
Yeah, that would be especially creepy if he was a pediatrician. That would be, oh my God!
Yeah.
Can you imagine how frightening that would be going to him for the doctor? Play.
Yeah, now take that image from his role in Heroes.
Ooh,
yeah,
thanks.
Same outfit. We're just going to borrow the same outfit, and you're going to be the town doctor in Twin Peaks. Slightly creeped out, but then you think in the back of your head, this might actually work because it is Twin Peaks. So, okay, so here is some Doctor Who news. And Amberlynn, you can go off on this one all you want because I don't know whether this is a good thing. But we have a new spin-off series coming, and it will titled Class, and it will be centered around the long-standing Coal Hill High School. Reports said it's was just announced developing a Doctor Who spin-off series. It will be set to contemporary London, and it hails from YA authors Patrick Ness, set at the Coal Hill High School, the fictional educational facility. Incredible dangers are breaking through the walls of time and space, and with darkness coming, London is unprotected. With all the action, heart, and adrenaline of a best YA fiction, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Hunger Games, this is Coal Hill High School and Doctor Who like you've never seen it before. That's their description.
So, we're getting Torchwood Academy? Is that what this is?
I guess.
I don't know what it sounds like. I'm not sure.
How is that even frickin' relevant?
Honestly, why aren't we getting a unit show?
Yeah,
exactly. That's amazing.
And you could bring Freeman Agana back because she was all big with the unit. The woman who played Martha. That would be a great show. But I'm sorry. Doctor Who's been letting me down lately. I don't like the direction the show's taken. I love Doctor Who. I love the universe. I just don't like the people in charge of it right now. I've got to be honest.
Well, yeah, I do think you should have a spin-off show, absolutely. We've been without Torchwood long enough, but I think I really just want more Torchwood, more than anything else.
I think in the long run that is the problem. Torchwood was really, really good, and that last miniseries they did for it left us completely hanging, and I'm like, okay, when is Davey's going to come back? Never. All right.
Because now you've got two kind of Captain Jacks. They're going to live forever, and I didn't think the fourth series on Starz was really all that bad. It wasn't as good as the BBC stuff, but it was a nice little take of, well, here's where they are after Torchwood's been taken down, and you get all your favorite characters back, but you get American characters, and it worked for what it was. But now I want to go back and actually see a BBC series again. These characters are not done. The problem is you got Captain Jack's now Malcolm Merlin, a.k.a. Ra's al Ghul, on Arrow. So which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
It's a good place for him. However, the only thing that could make Class even exciting at this point is if Captain Jack showed up as one of the teachers, and Gwen is the school nurse, and Torchwood Academy is born.
Can you even imagine if Missy showed up arbitrarily? How are they going to deal with that? They're not. They're children.
Well, I don't know. But here's the thing. We will check it out. We'll see, and we'll let you know if it's any good. That's what we do on this show. I mean, if it sucks, we're going to tell you. So, kind of hard to really get excited about it until I guess we see something, because we know it's not going to be as Torchwood. But anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay, so James McAvoy will be in the next M. Night Shyamalan movie. We did throw that out there as a fact that despite M. Night Shyamalan kind of being hit or miss over the last, 10 years, he's still getting big-name actors to be in his films. So,
which I don't understand.
Why?
I don't know. Now, we don't have a review on The Visit yet. Hopefully our horror blogger, Tim Helfrich, will give us one. We're kind of leaving that up to him because let's just say we're a little iffy of M. Night Shyamalan these days after Earth. I mean, you've got to come out with a really good movie to pull me back in as a fan. That's me personally.
Yeah, I haven't cared for any of his stuff since I called the ending to The Village 8 months before it came out when I saw the first teaser trailer. So that's when I decided he had jumped the shark and was way too predictable, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I created a group in my college called If M. Night Shyamalan Makes Another Movie, Let's Break His Hands.
Well, Well, here's for the ladies on the show who don't know the story. I believe I was still in the military at the time when The Village came out, and we were all at another movie and saw the trailer for it, and I was like, if that asshole walks into the woods and steps out onto I-95, I'm going to be bloody pissed. 8 months later, I get a phone call from a friend of mine that would see it opening weekend. He goes, dude, how do you ruin a movie 8 months before it comes out?
It's not really your fault. It just wasn't a good movie. He was kind of a terrible director. I mean, it's like you did Signs and like, okay, well, everything else is going to be shit. So, I mean,
don't know.
I will still praise him because I love Unbreakable. I think that's a great, great movie, and a great concept in dealing with superheroes. And I didn't hate Signs, but you did. You blew your wad after like 3 movies. It's kind of like, what have you done since then? Nothing of note. So, all right. So some Star Wars Rebel news, and I thought this was actually kind of exciting. Sarah Michelle Gellar will voice a character in will voice the 7th sister Inquisitor on Star Wars Rebels. And I thought it was kind of funny how they were throwing it out there. I'm not doing Princess Leia. Really, I'm not. So
she's doing one of the Inquisitors, huh?
Yeah. Well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's actually kind of disappointing. Not because I have anything against Sarah Michelle Gellar, but because I was hoping the female Inquisitor was going to be Barriss Offee from Clone Wars, because that would have been very interesting considering Ahsoka is with the Rebels.
Right.
And for those who didn't watch the Clone Wars, Barriss was the one that basically got Ahsoka kicked out of the Jedi Order. So it would have been really interesting to see that story come full circle. But I don't think Sarah Michelle Gellar was the voice of Barriss. So.
No. Well, I mean, we'll see how it turns out. That's all we can say. We haven't been disappointed with Rebels up to this point. I doubt we are.
No.
So, but I like Sarah Michelle Gellar, and I like that she's kind of getting her nerdiness back, and doing stuff like this. So, and there we go with that. All right, so here's some more interesting casting news. We've had this reoccurring theme talking about games being turned into movies, or movies based off games or whatever. And it is a very hit or miss thing. There really hasn't been one that's just been so fantastic that, you watch over and over. It's like most of them are pretty much good one-timers or just horrible. I mean, the Hitman movies, the last one and then the one with Timothy Olyphant, they weren't great, but they're okay. But some casting news in regards to the Assassin's Creed movies. Not only, I thought it was kind of cool that Michael Fassbender was going to be the assassin, and I think that's a great casting choice. But you keep getting all of these surprise, supporting casts. So it got announced this week that Brendan Gleeson and Jeremy Irons are going to be in the Assassin's Creed movie. And now
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, now I actually really want to see it. I wasn't that excited before. Yeah.
Especially if Jeremy Irons is going to be like the older assassin that's kind of the mentor to Fassbender.
Right.
That could be really interesting. I love Jeremy Irons anyway, even if he did just totally mail it in on Dungeons & Dragons, that horrible movie. But
well, he kind of did too with Aragon, but
yeah, he did that one too. Oh God, I forgot about that. But yeah, he really
that movie was not very good either. But he was Jeremy Irons. But he totally redeemed himself in the Borgias, because that was a good series. If you watched it all the way through, he was perfect to play the Pope.
Yeah, if you want to see a really good true crime, go see Reversal of Fortune.
Yes.
That's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the book is not that exciting to begin with, even though, everything that Dershowitz did to defend him. But watching the movie, that was just fantastic acting between him and Glenn Close. So.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this. Okay, this is the 80s and 90s, fanboy in me. The greatest villain he ever played was in Die Hard 3. Okay, as Hans's brother.
How colorful.
He was awesome. The movie may not have been very good, but he was great.
Oh, the movie was great. It was greatness.
I did actually like that.
$14 billion in gold bullion in the truck you're driving. Would a deal be out of the question? Sure, I got a deal from you. Why don't you come up from that rock you're hiding under, and I'll drive this truck up your ass. How colorful. One of the greatest good guy, bad guy exchanges ever. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. So we got good casting choices for Assassin's Creed, and again, you're heading into it's a step in the right direction, making us more excited. All right, so here's some things that are a little disconcerting in the nerd universe, ruining my childhood. CBS is bringing back MacGyver. They're going to reboot it. Yeah,
because it's what they do. Hollywood reboots things. They're also bringing back Rush Hour.
Yeah, I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're done with Rush Hour. I mean,
come see CBS Thursday night. It's must-see remakes.
Right.
Well, I mean, man, when you sit down in the press meeting and you're like, well, what do we got? We got more ideas for bubblegum and a paperclip. I mean, you're going to have to go with what you know.
Wait a minute. But I want to borrow this. Wait, what was the line that you used in your blog describing sleeping with other people? Something about mediocrity.
Oh, crud.
Yeah, now I got to look at. Yeah, it's like another episode of Mediocrity or something. It's like, come on, can we try a little bit?
So this is going to be like a 21st century MacGyver. So instead of defusing a bomb with a paperclip and bubblegum, he's going to be hacking the NSA with a 1996 Nokia phone.
Right.
Fantastically mediocre in nearly every way is what I said.
Yeah. I think that's the perfect description for these remakes right there. That's a title that can be applied to all of this. Now, it should also be pointed out, too, that this is a 20-something-year-old MacGyver. Okay, so he's, kind of and gets recruited by a clandestine organization. You know what this reminds me of? This is pretty much the TV version of Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. Where
no.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the actual character. It's just reimagined into something stupid. So, yeah, MacGyver really wasn't, he's not a super spy, okay? And the TV series was great, even right up into the end when they, started jumping the shark in the last couple of seasons. Shit.
You know what was great about MacGyver? He was John McClane minus the guns. He was an ordinary guy put in an extraordinary situation who would just happen to come out on top.
Yeah, exactly. One of the great episodes too was when he was thinking about retiring, and they were, they were having a birthday party for him, and he's going back, and it's like behind the scenes, and he's remembering all the people and the things that he's done, and and all these people he's helped. But at the same time, also what made the story great, he had an arch nemesis that was always trying to kill him, and those episodes were fantastic. But it was his grandfather, that he palled around with every now and again. You had some real heart to this. MacGyver, the reason I compare it to Jack Ryan is you're talking about characters that live in the Cold War area and how espionage was done and how you gather intelligence. It's not dominated by technology. The intelligence comes from research and all that, and you are looking at the professors and scientists and all that again are not super spies, but that's how you gather intelligence and win the war and yada yada yada. You've changed all that because you want great karate moves and the Matt Damon version of Jason Bourne. Again, I see why you're trying to set it, in the modern age. But what's wrong with having a period piece and going back and saying this is how we gathered intelligence? Because the remake of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy for a remake was a really great movie, and they didn't put it in the modern times. They did it straight from the 70s, and everybody was perfect in it. So I'm very disappointed by this, and this will probably be another show that I boycott. Or it's like another version of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where we're just going to sit there and mock it while getting drunk. So, yeah. All right, and speaking of other things, apparently the reimagining of Lethal Weapon is not going to be in movies anymore. There was that talk about Warner Brothers rebooting the series and making them again. Well, now it's going to be a TV series. So.
Of course it is, because it's going to go on right next to Rush Hour and MacGyver on CBS on Thursday Night Remake Night.
Yeah. Well, this one's actually on Fox, so, again, always a step in the right direction.
That, yeah.
Yeah, now that always a step in the right direction when you show the episodes in order.
The only way this could work out, and I serious, if they get like the people who are behind the Shield and Justified to do it and do it on FX, that might actually work and give it a darker, grittier bit with some comedy thrown in. But on network television, Lethal Weapon's just not going to work. I mean, that's going to be a one and done. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's going to be terrible.
I'm trying to get to The Bastard Executioner, but Kurt Sutter hasn't really drawn me in yet on it. Okay, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to get through the first season because I love Kurt Sutter. But if that doesn't work out, Kurt Sutter, you have your new story right there, the Lethal Weapon reboot. And you know who's going to be the police captain? Ron Perlman. Yeah.
That would be great, actually. That would be fantastic. With Ron Perlman as the captain, that would actually work. So I could get behind that.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we need to have an episode of that Nerd Show where we pitch the shows. We tell Hollywood how it should be from a fan's perspective.
That could get
let's show
quick.
you how.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, a couple more news items, and then we're going to get to reviews here and game news. Okay, so Hasbro Studios has said that they're going to have another 10 years worth of Transformers movies. Yay!
Oh, yay.
Well,
how? Just how?
I didn't.
I got a better question. Who cares?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's not other movies that Mark Wahlberg can be in. I'm sorry. There's not other movies that Michael Bay can do where he blows shit up. I mean,
I just stop ruining my childhood, you bastards.
Well, I don't think that's ever going to stop.
Well, come on, you can give us a purple Ultra Magnus. Won't you be excited?
Well, I suppose there is some good news out of this. If they're focused on Transformers for the next 10 years, they can't fuck up Voltron.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Looking on the bright side.
I'm Mr. Silver Lining. That's me.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll have another one where the Dinobots actually get to be in the entire movie, and it's cool.
No, that ain't gonna work.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
that's wishful thinking. Okay, so for a little bit of Star Wars news, IGN has got a really great article that was posted today about the updated, canon timeline, connecting all the books and comic books and everything that we know going back, before Episode 1. Excuse me. And for those trying to get a brief outline or the Cliff Notes version of everything, it's very, very interesting to kind of see, what they're doing and stuff, and how, but without revealing, any secrets and all of that, about the new movie coming up. And with that said, a little bit of commentary here. I swear to God, nobody ever learns anything from the Episode 1 debacle and the soundtrack title, song, Qui-Gon's Funeral. Apparently, the new trading cards came out a week or two ago, and it has little symbols on there about, like, what faction or what side you're on and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it revealed a couple of things about Finn and Rey, about where they're really, aligned with. And, fans kind of got in an uproar about it. It's like, here you go again, revealing...
Honestly, I'm not so sure that it did, because it also put Kylo Ren's affiliation as Sith. And we know for a fact that Kylo Ren is not a Sith, because J.J. Abrams has told us so. He is a member of the Knights of Ren, which are not Sith. So
you think it's misdirection?
I don't necessarily think it's misdirection. It's just like, if I recall, they said that Daisy Ridley's character was a Jedi, right, on the card?
Right.
Well, her affiliation could be with the Jedi. Maybe she's, Maybe it's, maybe we don't know. Maybe it's Luke's kid, or maybe she's the daughter of a Jedi. She might not necessarily be a Jedi. Plus, we've also seen Finn holding a lightsaber, and he's not listed as a Jedi. So I think people are just jumping to conclusions, and it may come out that every single thing on those cards is correct. I'm just saying, don't jump to conclusions based on a shitty card game, because let's face it, it looked like a pretty crappy card game.
That's true.
So, and I haven't been really impressed with anything that's come out for their marketing so far. I've been very disappointed with the toys and just about everything. So,
well, it's only a third of everything anyway. I mean, it's not. Yeah, they can only do. It's just been underwhelming so far. So, but I'm just saying, slow your roll. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Wait to go see the movie. Well, and I agree, but really, we haven't gotten a new trailer. We're 2 months away. It's at this point, why release anything? I mean, you don't need to do anything else marketing-wise. You've done all that you need to do. It's still going to probably be the highest grossing film of the year. So, I mean, it's not going to stop people going to see it. But if you're going to have this big mystery about everything, and trying to stop spoilers and everything, then don't release this kind of stuff. Or make people jump to conclusions.
Think of it from the collector's perspective or the comic book store. If it's wrong, you've got a collectible item.
That's true. That is true. So there might be a future kid out there who goes to college because his dad was lucky enough to get the misprint. So, all right, we're going to go to gaming news, and then we're going to start with gaming reviews. Brendan, what's going on?
All right, so we're going to start off with just what's coming out because there's a lot coming out. So big ones, Star Wars Battlefront's November 17th. The beta, if you are on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, you can download it from the PSN store or the Xbox Live store. In the next couple of days, the beta goes live in 3 days. So if you want to play Star Wars Battlefront before it comes out and you want to play it for free, get on your accounts, go download it. Let's see. And as I said, the game comes out November 17th. Halo 5 Guardians comes out October 27th. That is going to be bundled with a special edition Halo Xbox One. It actually looks pretty sweet. I think the bundle is going to cost $399 for the 500 gig and $449 for the 1 terabyte hard drive. Let's see. Need for Speed comes out November 3rd. Gears of War Ultimate Edition comes out in December. Fallout 4 is November 10th. Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection is October 9th. That will also be coming out with a PlayStation 4 bundle, as will Star Wars Battlefront. That's going to be a special edition bundle with Darth Vader on the cover, on the cover of the PS4, and the PS4 buttons on the controller are going to be made up to look like Darth Vader's mask. So the two analog sticks will be silver, like the 2 points of Vader's mask. And a few other touches on the controllers. It actually looks pretty cool. Overwatch is coming in December. It's a really cool team-based shooter. Rise of the Tomb Raider, November 10th. That's a big Xbox One exclusive. And then Assassin's Creed Syndicate comes out October 23rd. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is kind of Ubisoft's apology letter to the fans of the franchise for the last 2 games because or for 2 of the last 3 games. People liked Black Flag, but they hated Assassin's Creed 3, and they also hated Unity, just focusing on too much stuff that wasn't the core gameplay of Assassin's Creed. So this is going back to that single-player storyline. There is no multiplayer. They just focused on making the biggest, baddest single-player storyline you could get. So in an age of multiplayer, if you want a single-player game, Assassin's Creed is probably where it's going to be at for you, especially this Christmas season. So there's also news that Target may have outed a price cut for the PS4 for a $50 price cut, but there is some debate about that because it was $349, but it comes with a $50 off Target gift card, so maybe it was actually $399, and then once you get to use the $50 off gift card, and then it's $349. So we don't know if this is from Sony or if this is just a Target misrepresenting their stuff, but it is possible. It has been rumored for a while that maybe Sony would start cutting their prices. I didn't think it would happen until next year, but you never know. They might do it ahead of this Christmas season. They might do what Xbox did last year, which was do a temporary price cut before Christmas, and they caught up in sales. Then they raised it back up after Christmas, and then their sales dropped off, and they said, oh, maybe we should drop it back down. So literally the price raised back up to $400 for the Xbox One lasted all of about 2 weeks. GameStop barely had time to change all their signage before Xbox was like, oh, no, we're going to go back to $349. So let's see, what else is going there? A game that really defined the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Those genres, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater were great games, especially on the PS2. It kind of started falling off on the PS3, and so they went away from it for a while, and they decided to come back. It was not a triumphant return. The game is proper terrible. The graphics look like they're from a PlayStation 2. And the gameplay looks, I don't know who was coding it, but I'm pretty sure they were high when they were doing it. The game is buggy as hell. It currently has a critic rating on Metacritic of 36 out of 100. The fan rating on Metacritic is 1.7 out of 100. 1.7. Considering that you score on Metacritic by 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, out of thousands of reviews, how many zeros did it have to get a 1.7?
I wasn't that excited about. I wasn't that excited about skateboarding games anyway.
But I mean, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3 were phenomenal games. They really were. They were fantastic games. But they've been since left behind by games like Skate. And this was not a triumphant return. Tony Hawk should be ashamed of himself for putting his name on this. He should fire everybody involved. He should dissolve his contract with them. And if he really wants to have another video game with his name on it, he should go find some competent developers because it was piss poor. So that's pretty much my gaming report for this week.
Okay.
So we're going into Destiny a little later.
Yeah. So we're going to start off our reviews with gaming reviews. And we're going to start with Sheila and Brendan talking about Destiny the Taken King. Because I know, Sheila, I know you're pretty much the Destiny queen here, which sounds like a 70s disco song, but still, that's what we're going to say. And no, disco is not on any of our list, or at least it shouldn't be.
No, it's not on mine. I'll tell you that.
No.
On this list, let me tell you that.
Yeah. You're all. Anybody who adds it, you're fired. Just throwing that out there. But anyway, since you two are really getting into the game, I'd love to hear a review of where you guys are about this right now. I mean, I've heard very good things from the Taken King, mostly from Brendan, who I trust, but still from a lot of other fans. Sheila, we'll start with you. What do you think so far?
Well, so far I've told numerous people that put it down about the time that Dark Below came out in December and swore to never touch Destiny again. I said you need to pick it back up. This is what Destiny needed to get some fresh air back in there. It is complicated. It is challenging. It's exciting. And the better a fire team you're running with, the better results you're going to have, the more fun you're going to have with it. The raid itself is requiring full fire team effort, whereas the raids before, like Crota from the Dark Below, people soloed it. It wasn't a raid.
Well,
you can't do that with this.
I just want to touch on something that you said there, and you said that it's complicated and it's challenging, and it is, but the right things are complicated and challenging. Leveling is no longer complicated and challenging. You go do quests, you go do bounties, you go do patrol missions, you go do your story missions, you gain XP, you gain levels. Simple, nice, easy. None of this light level crap anymore. I mean, you still have light levels, but that's determining, whether you can do the heroics or the raids or the strikes or whatever. And that's fine. That's great. Gear score, I get that. Okay, makes perfect sense. But the right things are complicated in the fact that no longer are all of the bosses simply tank and spank. They're not just huge bullet sponges that hit really hard. They actually have mechanics. And I'm a little bit farther behind than you are, Sheila, because I'm only at light level 240. But I just ran the Shield Brothers strike on the Dreadnought. That's a really cool boss fight. I love that boss fight. because you've got the difference between the two brothers. So you fight the first brother, and he comes out and he does this flying punch, and if you're anywhere near, you're just getting crushed. So you have to jump in the air and get away from him, because if you're in the air when he hits you, it's like half as much damage, or even a third as much. And then he goes in at a third damage. The other guy comes out and he fires these mortars. And of course, everybody knows that there's a circle on the ground in a raid, get away from it. That goes back to World of Warcraft and everything else. Circle on the ground, be out of the circle. Very simple. But here's where the trick comes in. When they both come back out, if you kill the blue dude first, the red dude picks up the mortars, and now he's throwing flying punches and mortars. So you got to kill the red dude first, because otherwise you just create super boss, and it's like your day's over. Because he's going to cover the ground in mortars, and whatever area he isn't covering in mortars, he's going to jump and punch it. So it's a great little strike, and I love that strike. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but I just wanted to get that point in.
No, you're fine. Have you, I don't know if you found out since you just did it, but the first boss in Strike Brothers, the little circles that are on the ground, if you can kind of taunt him and walk around the circle, he will follow you around that circle, so you can just keep his attention while your strike team is just DPSing him.
Yeah, that's actually what one of our guys was doing. One of the guys that I'm in the fire team with a lot, he's got 5 characters to level 40 on Xbox One and on PS4.
Nice.
So and I think his highest level is like, his highest light level on one of them is like 320 or 330 or something like that. So he's really experienced and knows what he's doing. So I just kind of follow him around and just try and pick up whatever he does.
I just thought it was a neat little trick. I was like, we can control him.
Yes, yeah.
So without finishing the game, which I know will take everybody a little while, what is your rating overall of the Taken King out of 10?
I would say I would give it a 9. I wouldn't put it right at a 10, just because there are some things that I've noticed people are feeling left out of, like the raid, for example. Its recommended light level is 290, and it is a climb to get to that number.
Yeah, it is. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, so, we've had to leave people that we've played with forever on numerous games behind because they can't do any damage in that raid. So, right. Other than that, I would say it's phenomenal and put it at a 9.
Yeah, I think I would go with a 9 too, for slightly different reasons. Because I don't find the climb to be that arduous. Because like if you do your daily heroic strike, you're going to get 15 legendary marks, which means in every 5 days you can get a piece of level 280 gear. So that's really accessible. Plus, you get the strike playlist on top of that, where you can get, more legendary marks, and then you've got your different quest lines, which you can get legendary gear out of. And they're dropping relic coins a lot faster, so you can get some exotics from Jur on the weekends. I fully expect to be 290 in a couple weeks, and I think that's fine as far as progression for somebody who, like me, is a casual gamer who doesn't have 20 hours a week to sink into it. I maybe get to play 1 or 2 hours a night during the week, and then Saturday and Sunday mornings are my big time to play. So I think that's fine on the progression scale. I just think there are some certain areas where I would have liked to have seen them take a different route, especially with the year 1 exotics. Like they totally nerfed Galahorn, and I understand why they did it. Like, the why is not a problem. People were developing raid strategies around Galahorn, and if you didn't have Galahorn, then you weren't getting on a fire team for a raid. That's stupid. Right. Okay, you can't have that. But what you could have done instead is, instead of nerfing Galahorn so badly, you could have brought him down a little bit and brought all the other exotics up a little bit so that they're all still special instead of nerfing everything. And that way the people who had Galahorn didn't feel like, oh, I just went through all this stuff to get this really ridiculously hard item to get, and now it's useless.
Right.
Cool.
So
basically,
I think that's...
So basically about a 9 out of 10 is what you're rating, what you guys rated so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's definitely turned into be one of the, the must-have, one of those must-have games before the end of the year. I just wish I could find more time to be able to play.
I'm just really excited because this is going to be the first game in a long time where I'm going to be at max level when the next expansion comes out, so I don't have to play catch up anymore. Like, I'm going to be there. Like I said, within a couple of weeks, I'll be doing the raids. I'll have all the big gear. You know, by the latest, you know, October, November, I'm going to have a fully geared up guy ready for the next expansion. So I'm really excited to see what they do because there's a lot of things I'd like to see. I'd like to see them, you know, expand the current planets they have. You know, there's a lot of places on Earth other than old Russia. How cool would it be to fight aliens on the steps of the Mayan temples in South America? You know, or have their own version of Mad Max if they did Australia. That would be really cool. I'd like to see them expand. They use Mercury as a PvP area, and it's also for the Sunbreaker quest. I'd like them to expand Mercury. I'd like to see them bring in Neptune and turn Neptune into our own little version of Destiny Hoth. You know, things like that. That would just be really cool. So I'm looking forward to see what direction they do to expand the game, because I think they will keep the same schedule where they'll do 2 small expansions every 4 months, and then at the end of the year to introduce the next year, Destiny Year 3, they'll have a big expansion like the Taken King. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next year brings.
Cool. All right. Speaking of other games, excuse me. I got NBA 2K16, which came out on Tuesday. And first, I want to actually state I am not really a huge basketball fan in a video game. You know, hockey will always be my favorite game to play, and I will win the Stanley Cup 2 or 3 times a year, and that I will buy. I do Madden just because, you know, I feel like we should review Madden, and I do have some fun with it. But anyway, long story short, I got it.
It left you speechless, I see.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, it's one of those games where I was kind of hesitant to go into, but I feel like we should review it. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, long story short, I was absolutely amazed about the improvements because I tried last year's and I ended up giving it to a friend of Brendan and I's. I gave it to Scotty. It was like, here, you go play it. You have fun with it. I was like, I'm done with it. I have gotten addicted to it and have started a season and stuff. You know, once I made, you know, some adjustments and actually got into it, they have made it a little bit more complicated, but they've made it better for defenses, and without relying so much, you know, on the computer and stuff. So you can actually set your defense and be able to play according to what team you're doing, and stuff. So I'm absolutely amazed, and I think that 2K16 is probably, you know, the first game where you're starting to hit that point where really, these are the games that are meant for the new console systems, and they're just never, you know, why bother making them for PS3s and Xbox 360s, because the graphics are absolutely amazing. So I, you know, from a perspective of someone who's not a basketball fan, I mean, I'm not going to say it's perfect. I haven't gotten through an entire season yet and won a championship or anything like that. But it is something that has impressed me, not being a basketball video game person.
Now, let me ask you a question, Marcus.
Yeah.
With EA, the old tagline was, if it's in the game, it's in the game. So with that in mind, did Derrick Rose break his leg in the 3rd game of the season?
Well, not in my version. Just like in my version of Madden, Cutler actually doesn't throw interceptions.
It's an awesome QB. Yeah.
Right. So it's not, you know, it's not completely realistic, but still, you know, again, just from the graphics and the play and all of that, and I do find myself, you know, having to make adjustments, you know, with teams, and of course, having to not rely on the computer about, you know, guarding the middle and really posting people down there, and but I think from a lot of ways, you know, in a lot of ways, they've listened to the fans, you know, about how the game should be played, you know, They did the same thing, with NHL this year. So I think, they're really truly listening to from a fan's perspective of how these games should develop. I did watched a couple of walkthroughs as I was getting started, because I actually had to relearn all the controls and really how to operate the game. And if you've never played a game before, there's that first game you play where you get beat by 40 points and that kind of thing. But looking at the controls about how to set your defenses, as I said, it's more fan oriented. You cannot just solely rely on the computer. You have to be able to know the game to be able to operate it and not get blown out. And you're gonna, when you're playing teams like, the Cavaliers, LeBron James is gonna do no wrong and stuff. Just like, if you want to play some classic games, I can play the 96 Chicago Bulls in there and pretty much beat everybody, and Jordan can do no wrong. But at the same time, you have to know how to use the rest of your players and stuff. So at this point, I would definitely give it a good 8 out of 10, especially for the new generation of consoles. So I'll be playing that one for a while now that I've kind of gotten the hang of it, and we'll probably start being addicted to basketball video games. Still can't figure out really how the whole dunking thing works, but, a good simple layup will still work. Oh, and by the way, this is for Brendan being from Boston. Yeah, you just put Larry Bird back in the corner on the three-point line. You could have your eyes closed and just press the button. He's going to make it because he's Larry Bird. So it is pretty fun playing the classic teams, though. But anyway, that's my review on NBA 2K16 and stuff. Okay, we'll get to some TV and movie reviews, but before we get to movies and stuff like that, I'm going to Amberlyn, Miss Fraser.
Yep.
What are your first thoughts of after the first couple of episodes, or even 3 episodes of Doctor Who so far? You wrote a review on the first 2 episodes this week. What do you think overall?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't got to watch the 3rd episode yet. Been a little busy this week, but honestly, I feel like we're going to have another issue like last season where it's kind of like the entire time, because the first 2 episodes, I understand they're building and they're going to get this entire season up, but it was just lackluster, and I felt, for lack of better terminology, dicked out of my ending. So that's how I feel. They kind of ended up with, the Doctor's omnipotent and it's all kind of worked out how he planned. And it shouldn't always be that way is my problem. He shouldn't just be like, oh my God, next episode, haha, I've known all along.
Right. So, since Brenda made comments early in the show, and you're saying this, do you feel like, does it have anything to do with the cast, or is it really just the writing?
I think, honestly, Moffat might be getting tired. I honestly believe he's just like, because when we first started having him doing episodes, they were dark and fantastic, and yeah, you could kind of see how some things were going to go, but you were surprised. And in this episode, I was like, I hope this isn't going to end like how it did. It exactly ended how I thought it would. So I just think he's getting tired of it, not like whole tired of it, because he's still on Doctor Who as the producer and all that. But I think with especially how many different writers they're having, he's just not in the writing mood.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good characterization, and we've said it before. I mean, you, as talented as you might be, you don't need to be the showrunner on 2 shows. You need to focus on one, and if you get tired of that project after a few years, which, in Britain, you can have a series run for 2 or 3 years, 4 years maybe, and that'll be the end of it. And you'll go off and do something else, and you'll see some of your favorite British actors in other series. Sometimes they'll come over here in America and all of that. But the great thing is, it's not like they run out of creativity. It's somehow, some way, it seems it's not it's
just
not
bring
as
Russell
dull
T.
as it
Davies
is.
back.
You know, and maybe that's the thing with with Davies is let's get you've been away for a number of years. It's a different a fresh perspective, but maybe you're rejuvenated with Doctor Who again and can do this for a few more years and then hand the reins off to someone else. Doctor Who isn't meant to have one writer, showrunner constantly. Especially with the different doctors, you're supposed to have a different take on it, just like different actors have a different take on who the Doctor is supposed to be when he regenerates. It'd be nice to find a perfect pairing between a showrunner and a Doctor and, and be like, that match made in heaven. So I asked the question because I don't want to solely blame it on somebody like Peter Capaldi because I'm such a huge fan, but at the same time I want to be logical about what it is. And again, we've talked about that. It's definitely time for Clara to go, and we need a new, companion. So.
In respect to Capaldi, I actually think he's finally come into being the Doctor within the first 2 episodes I've seen of this season. He did a lot better than I thought he did last season.
Right.
Because he had that confidence that he needed, and I wouldn't say his character is wishy-washy, but he's very to the point. Yes, I feel this way. Yes, and I like the fact that he's just that guy now.
Okay. Well, I think Doctor Who this year, it's going to be another one that we need to get through the end of the season. Let's get past Clara. Let's see who the new companion's going to be. Let's see if anything changes. And if it's really going to be a dull year, then nerds unite. Start writing in. Moffat, go. It's time for you to go, buddy. Go and create something else. Focus on Sherlock because you're great with that. You're great with that.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'd like to have another show with Moffat where they bring Jeff back from Coupling. We need more Jeff.
Oh, Jeffrey.
Oh, Jeffrey.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, all right. Another quick TV review. I don't know if anybody watched Quantico last week, which premiered on Sunday. One of those I'm going to stick with for a little while to see if it, captivates me. It started off pretty good. And this is a shout out to Allison, our TV blogger, who was complaining to me this week that why do they always have the Mormon guy be the criminal? And I'm like, well, just hold on. You haven't finished the episode yet. There's some Muslims in there, and this is America. We'll always, make them the bad guy worse than Mormons. That's how it works. But anyway, it's one of those promising shows, but I don't think we'll know truly anything, about how good it's going to be until you get a few episodes in it, into it. So far, I'm only going to say it's okay. Did anybody else watch the episode?
Honestly, no. Yet another FBI drama or cop drama on CBS.
Yeah.
I've had enough.
But I will say this, in regards to FBI dramas, I thought it was pretty interesting that as soon as this show premiered, the next day they dropped the full trailer to the X-Files reboot coming in January.
Which looks freaking awesome.
Yes.
I'm sorry. When I got the cigarette, and when I saw the cigarette and heard the smoking man's voice, I got goosebumps.
I did too. I was having a nerd orgasm. I was talking with another media critic here in Dallas on Tuesday, Gaudy with the Selig Pollock Group, who's a huge Chris Carter fan. And yes, we were fanboys. We were like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be the greatest thing. This is what we need. But again, I'm still complaining. I want my Scully to be a redhead. I'm sorry, it just doesn't seem right. But then again, bringing back the smoking man, he's not really dead, and he doesn't seem to die. Yeah, that's the only FBI drama I really care about these days. Yeah. So, which at the end of the year, before we get started, or before the series, we will be having a big X-Files show, and I've already been binge watching to go through it all again. All right, one final review before the break. And I will make this kind of quick. you can read Chloe James's review on The Martian, which posted on Thursday. And this is one of those where I absolutely agree with her about giving it a 9 out of 10. It is a truly amazing film. It is probably the best performance Matt Damon has actually done since Good Will Hunting. Well, he was actually good in The Talented Mr. Ripley too, but it's for all you fans out there that really love Apollo 13, and let's face it, that's a pretty damn good movie. Perfectly cast, everybody is great in it, and it being based on a true story and all that. I have to say that The Martian's even better than the Apollo 13, and that's hard for me to say. But I just feel like from the performance that he gave of, surviving on Mars and the commentary that he does on the camera, keeping the log, to everybody else, from the political bullshit, dealing with NASA. And it's one of those roles where I don't love to hate Jeff Daniels' characters because I think he's a very talented actor, but I really hated his character and I wanted him to be slapped upside the head. And there were moments in there, and me and Brendan being military guys, where, they're debating and, they're actually trying to have a logical debate about, do we go back and get him? And, there's that discussion between the two military pilots, like, well, it's not a debate between us because we just don't do that. And, of course, everybody else is like, I don't even know why we're talking about this. Of course we're going to go back and get him and whatnot.
I would just like to point out that between Saving Private Ryan, Interstellar, and The Martian, how much money have we wasted trying to go retrieve Matt Damon from somewhere?
Yeah. He has proven that his characters are very special from the amount of money spent to go rescue him. But it's also one of those films, a friend of mine who went with me, we were talking about seeing it in 3D, and some films work really well and some films don't. And this is one of those that I would actually encourage to go and see in 3D. It was very well worth it. But no, this is one of the best movies that Ridley Scott has done in a very long time. Definitely way better than Prometheus. Brendan and I weren't even awake for how early that press screening was years ago.
Oh, gosh.
So you can read Chloe James's full review on it, but just for nerds out there, for every kid that wanted to be an astronaut, that loves science, that that wants a mission to Mars and stuff, this is just it's a movie filled with heart. It's from a military perspective, and they did some screenings at a couple of bases here in the Metroplex. It's the perfect idea that we never leave a man behind. There's no debate. Okay. And just, it's the kind of world in regards to science that we want to have, filled with hope that governments can work together to rescue someone. That, while the mission might be greater than one man, it isn't in a lot of ways. So, it's a truly beautiful, beautiful film. And I think that everybody should go see it. It's not perfect, but it's definitely, and I definitely like Interstellar a lot better as a film. But The Martian is definitely right up there. And, thank you, Ridley Scott, for making such a great sign, doing this and whatnot. So, anyway, last reviews. We're not going to take a station break, but we'll take one in about 20 minutes because we are running out of time, and we've got lots to talk about when it comes to music. So we're going to jump right into talking about our top 25 greatest albums of all time. And the reason we're not just leaving it to rock and roll is there's music from different genres, going back to the big band era, and Amberlyn pointed that out in her list. So I think it's easy to say, pick one genre and just say, well, all classic rock and whatnot, and I don't think that's necessarily true. So we're going to start with number 25, and we're going to get all the way down to what we think is number one. But before we do that, this was a question that I raised in the blog post. Beatles or the Rolling Stones? Which is better? There's always been this endless debate between the two bands. And for me personally, there really isn't any debate. It's always going to be the Rolling Stones. But I'm curious to see what everybody else thinks. And we're going to start with you, Amberlyn.
I'd have to go with the Stones. I absolutely detest the Beatles.
Okay. How about you, Sheila?
I like them both, but the Beatles win on my side.
Okay. Brendan?
The Who.
The Who?
I can't stand the Stones or the Beatles. Never have.
Oh, can I change my answer to his answer?
Well, all right,
I can't stand either band. If you're going to make me pick between British bands, and if I got to pick one British band, I'm going the Who.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to get into the debate. You're just going to go with the Who. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I think it's an interesting question, and I love the arguments, versus the Stones and the Beatles. And honest to God, I like the Beatles, but I think when it captures, the essence and the roots of, music, from rhythm and blues and gospel and folk and all that, I think the Stones did it better. Nothing against John and Paul, who are great songwriters, and George Harrison, but I just think the Rolling Stones are better, hands down. So, but the Who are pretty good too. So anyway, we're going to start with our 25th album. And Amberlyn, what did you pick for your? Go ahead. So did we lose everybody?
Amberlyn, are you there? Okay.
I'm there.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know
I said I
Skynet
picked Cell Dweller by Cell Dweller. That's all.
Okay.
Skynet, stop it.
All right, interesting. Interesting. Sheila, how about you?
I chose Spoiled by Blue October.
Okay. Blue October is not something I would have actually put in my list, but very interesting. So, not that they're not a good band.
I know that CD has a couple of, overplayed on the radio songs, but there's 12 other songs on there that are never played on the radio that are actually really good. So.
Okay. How about you, Brendan?
Okay, disclaimer, I couldn't decide what order to put these in, so mine are in no particular order, but the last one I put on my list was my only soundtrack on the list, and it's The Commitments.
Okay. There you go. We do have to go a little Irish and everything. I mean, if you're going to go to a great compilation of, good R&B, yeah, and the fact that the cast actually does the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great, great soundtrack. By the way, it should be noted that anytime you hear Mustang Sally at a wedding or usually on the radio, it's usually not the Wilson Pickett version. It's usually the version from The Commitments
version. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the one at the bottom of my list is Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues. And the only reason I put that there is I think if you're going to talk about a list of, great albums, you have to go with an artist where, from the roots of music. And so many artists are on my list that are just influenced by Robert Johnson, and it's the great best compilation of, his music put together. So I have a lot of honorable mentions, but I just put that on the bottom of my list. So there you have it. What about your 24th album, Amberlyn?
Social Distortion by Social Distortion.
Okay. I haven't listened to Social Distortion in a while. I really haven't.
You really should. They're really good.
I know.
I have them on my workout list.
Yeah.
They're on my workout playlist.
Not actually. That's one of those, I've not listened to them in a while. How about you, Sheila?
And Nine Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine.
Do what?
Nine Inch Nails, Pretty Hate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty Hate Machine. That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, probably their best album. I would actually pick that as their best album.
I would too.
Now, we do have a chat room open for our listeners out there. If you think that we're wrong on something, you can always chat and let us know, or you can do a quick call-in at 347-989-1732. and tell us if we're crazy. Brendan, what's next on your list?
Back from when Metallica was actually metal, Kill 'Em All.
Nice. Yeah, I debated about putting a Metallica album on there, but there was just so many other things that I thought were a little bit more important. But yes, I think if you're going to put Metallica, you have to put Metallica from when they were actually still metal. You know, once they passed the Black Album, it was like, whatever. Once you cut your hair, you were dead. For me personally, this is where I put The Cure. I'm a huge Cure fan. And while it's easy to put, Kiss, Kiss, Kiss on there, I don't think that's actually the best written album that The Cure ever did. I think Disintegration is. That's where I think that, yeah. You think I'm wrong?
I kind of want to argue in that it should be further up.
I know, but I'm also a piano player, so I've got some Billy Joel and Elton John that are a little higher on the list, and that's just my own personal, deal. I have to throw out the two great, piano rockers out there, and Ben Folds is one of my honorable mentions, so still love him. But yes, I think Disintegration is the best Cure album. So, all right, number 23, Amberlyn.
Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith.
Okay. Interesting.
Good album.
It's a good album,
It is.
Track 5, big 10-inch record is hilarious. So
I'd forgotten about that.
As hilarious as Big Balls by AC/DC?
Oh, always.
Oh, how about you, Sheila? What's number 23 for you?
Mine is Fleetwood Mac, Rumors.
Okay. I was wondering if anybody was going to put some Fleetwood Mac on their list.
I used to like Fleetwood Mac, but the local classic rock station here in Dallas has killed them for me because they play Fleetwood Mac like 6 times a day. It's ridiculous. I get in the car and Fleetwood Mac's on. It's like there are other classic rock friggin' bands. So,
why do classic rock stations think that's the only music they can play to generate a female audience? Like females can't enjoy other rock bands. I'm not saying Stevie Nicks isn't great, but there's other female rockers out there. I mean, I don't hear a lot of play of the Runaways.
Yeah. So anyway,
what's your number 23?
My only live album on the list, Live at the Apollo, James Brown.
Nice.
Oh, well played.
Nice. Yes. Nice. Yeah, I got to agree with that. That pretty much is the best live album. Nothing against Kiss. You guys are great and awesome live. But this is James Brown.
I get so much enjoyment out of listening to James Brown because it comes from so many different places. It takes me to Rocky. It takes me to Eddie Murphy stand-up from when he was still funny. Going, like people don't even know what James saying. They just agree with him because they pay to. They'll be like, him in the head, yeah. Him in the head, yeah. Hey, what's James saying? I don't fucking know. Just keep saying, yeah. We're paying for this shit. There's so much about James Brown's music that makes me happy.
Well, James Brown is awesome, and I have a special love for him. Brendan has heard this story before because it's a military story, but I will share it with our audience. When I was in basic training many, many, many years ago, we had a drill sergeant when he was on duty who would come and wake everybody up in the middle of the night and smoke everybody or make everybody do push-ups and stuff for an hour and 14 minutes. And that hour and 14 minutes is the exact amount of time to the James Brown Greatest Hits, which he would go up and down the aisles dancing and singing and doing moves while we were doing push-ups until we were tired. And honest to God, we never minded it because it was hilarious and it was James Brown.
Yeah.
So that's my great memory of James Brown. So number 23 for me, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, which I think is their best album. It was kind of hard between that and The Wall, but at the end I picked Dark Side of the Moon.
There you go.
So there you go. All right, number 22, Amberlyn.
The Joshua Tree by U2.
Okay, all right. Pretty close to where mine is.
I almost put that on my list.
You almost? You just didn't want...
Yeah.
You think U2's overplayed too much, don't you?
No, it's not that. I just, I don't know. It was close. It just didn't make the cut.
Gotcha. How about you, Sheila? What's number 22 for you?
The Black Keys Brothers.
Okay.
Yep.
Not one I thought would make it.
Newer entry to the list.
That is an eclectic entry. Very interesting.
I do have a wide kind of variety taste in music there, so.
Nice.
Goes from Fleetwood Mac to the Black Keys.
There you go. All right, so this is where I put the Talking Heads, and I think the best album they ever did was Remain in Light.
Okay.
So, it was kind of between that and the first album because I really love Psycho Killer.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, this is for the guys out there. If you ever really want to make a statement and get back at an ex-girlfriend or whatever, and really let the world know how she's a bitch and she's really horrible, there's 2 songs that you can always call into a radio station and request in that person's name. The first one being the Eagles' Witchy Woman, which is always a classic. And perfectly, it's a perfect metaphor. But the other one is Psycho Killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've dated a few.
I have dated a few, and Brendan's driven one of them home.
Yep. My number 22 is my only rap album on the list, and it's because it's the album that really cemented Dr. Dre as a superstar in his own right outside of NWA, but also introduced the world to Snoop Dogg, so The Chronic.
There you go. Still one of the best all-time rap albums.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Number 21. What about you, Amberlyn?
I have Ella and Lewis by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong.
Okay.
Classic.
Yeah, very
it's
classic.
honestly the best duet album ever.
What, no Frank Sinatra duets?
I'm not a fan of Frank. Not all Blue Eyes.
Whoa. Whoa, time out. Okay. Remember, make a note to delete that part for the on-demand episode.
Delete it.
Yeah, it's actually really funny, though. While I do love his duets, the Saturday Night Live skit with Phil Hartman playing.
Joe Piscopo. Oh, no. Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy.
Right.
Blind as a bat, and I have sight.
Well, Phil Hartman doing the duets with everybody back in the 90s, that was a great skit, too. Because him just going off on Sinead O'Connor.
No.
Hey, Baldy. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what you got? Hit us with your best shot.
Mine is the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street.
All right.
Okay.
Although that would have been hilarious if you had just said Pat Benatar, but
I just switched it real quick.
Nice. Okay, very nice. I wholeheartedly agree. Best album they ever did. So, Brendan, what's your 21?
Full Moon Fever by Tom Petty.
Okay. All right. Great album.
Free Fallin', Won't Back Down, Don't Come Around Here No More. Yeah, I love it. It's a fantastic album.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of my honorable mentions. Unfortunately, it'd have to end up in the top 50 if we were doing that list. My 21, and this is where Amberlyn's going to yell at me.
Oh, yeah.
Is Depeche Mode and Violator. Easily the best. Well, first of all, I love Depeche Mode, and I think it's the best album they ever did. It's a great album. But I think there are so many other bands that just go before Depeche Mode, on my list. That's why it's down at 21. But like we were discussing about the Clash when we first started doing our list, like there's a certain album you have to have. at least I have it on my list. It would kind of be unforgivable if I said I was a Depeche Mode fan and didn't have that on my list, right?
Admittedly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to forgive you this once.
Hey, you were the one talking about Frank.
Oh, okay, well.
Yeah, I'm just pointing that out for the jury here. My grandfather's rolling around in his grave. What did she say about Frank?
Oh.
You know what we need? We need that Cole Meany stare where they start talking about Elvis and the Commitments, and he's just about to knock their socks off with his Elvis haircut. Anyway, so yeah. All right, number 20. What do you got, Amberlyn?
Purple Rain by Prince.
Nice.
Yes. The only problem is you can't find like any Prince like YouTube videos because I guess he's really protective, which I understand. So I'm like posting videos of the movie on the blog.
That's all right. It's still one of the best all-time soundtracks out there. I mean, so that was hard. Prince was an honorable mention for me too, but great album. Also, pop quiz for all of it. What famous British actress was the actress on his main Squeeze in Purple Rain?
Yeah, don't know. Too long. Not without looking it up, I could tell you.
Really? No one? You guys all call yourself music nerds.
Wait, let me Google it.
Kristen Scott Thomas. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Well, wait a minute. Was it Purple Rain or was it a different movie? She did a movie with... I think it was
damn, dude, you can't ask the question if you don't even know the answer. Come on, let's move on.
Is it ever memory loss? Well, it may not have been.
Unbelievable.
Confuse everybody. Yeah. All right. Well. Anyway, Sheila, what's your number 20?
It is the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper.
Okay. So a Beatles album did make it on there. All right. Brendan, how about you?
The Ramones by the Ramones.
Nice.
Well played.
Yeah, I hope everybody has that on their list. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's my favorite of theirs. I know there are other people that say there's some albums that are better that they did, but that's my favorite of theirs. So
no, I don't disagree at all. I think that's the best album they ever did. They did a lot of great music, but that's the best they ever did as an album. So my number 20, that's where I put the Joshua Tree. So easily, I think their best album. All right, number 19 on our list, counting down. Amberlyn?
Well, unfortunately, this is a little bit of my roots, and it's Un Día Normal by Juanes, and he's a Colombian singer.
Okay.
Very excellent guitarist as well.
I listen to a ton of Irish folk music, so no judgment here.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
There's world music that should pop into the list there. Things that people probably didn't think. I mean, Brendan and I could, definitely throw Clancy Brothers and stuff in there. But anyway. Sheila, how about you? What's number 19?
Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland.
Okay. All right. Got to have Hendrix on the list.
Yes.
If you don't, you're just un-American. No.
Well, then I'll just pretend I have Hendrix somewhere on this list. Thanks.
Yeah, we don't want to. Brendan, how about you?
Pearl Jam by Pearl Jam.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of my favorite albums of all time, and I got it for free because my parents bought me a Discman for Christmas, and the guy tested it for them to show my dad that it worked, and he forgot to take the Pearl Jam CD out of it. So when I opened it up, I already had a CD in it.
Awesome.
I still have the CD 20-something years later.
Hey, I still have the first 2 CDs I ever bought, way back in the day. Yeah. So, all right, my 19, The Who, Tommy. I think that's the best album they ever did. So, British rock album, before there was such a thing called Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, number 18. How about you, Amberlyn?
Absolution by Muse.
Okay. Muse ended up on
that
your
was
list. All right.
That was an awkward silence.
That was a Muse. Oh, good.
No, I'm not done. I'm disagreeing. I like Muse. So, Sheila, how about you? That's true. Sheila, who's number 18 for you?
Mine was Nevermind by Nirvana.
All right. There you go. It's a little, just to make everybody feel their age, it's kind of, disheartening to see pictures of their grown-up daughter now who is becoming a singer.
Yes.
It has been that long.
And doesn't want her mom at her wedding. Pretty sad.
I cannot imagine why.
No, neither can I.
You don't want somebody ruining your wedding. I mean, come on.
Right.
No.
Brendan, how about you?
The Wall, Pink Floyd.
Okay. Yeah, I kept debating about those two albums, Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. But The Wall is a great album.
Yeah, me too. I debated it, and I ended up going with The Wall because, I don't know, that's just, it is what it is. I went with The Wall.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
One of them's got to end up on the list, one of them doesn't. So,
yeah.
For me, it's my man from New Jersey, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. I don't care all those Springsteen haters out there. The man is in his 60s and still puts on the 3-hour concerts. Awesome. So, yeah, I will do Born to Run. All right, number 17. How about you, Amberlyn? Who's your 17?
Smile by Larkin CL. It is a Japanese rock band, and it's actually, I would say, the album that put them on the map.
Okay. In case anybody isn't wondering, Amberlyn's going to take us all around the world here, but I like the idea of a Japanese rock band. And now I just have visions of their music video being a part of, Kill Bill 1 or 2. But
well, actually, Full Metal Alchemist is an anime that was very, very popular back, I want to say 2007 through current, and they made, I want to say, the second opening theme, and that's a really big draw for them from a lot of fans.
Okay, cool. Sheila, how about you?
Mine was Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison.
Another great live album. Album. Yeah. Brendan, who's 18?
Where are we at? 17?
Yeah.
That's gonna be, for me. That's gonna be. I'm gonna go back metal. That's gonna be Aqualung by Jeff Rotel.
Okay. Nice. A great album. This is where I get into my piano rockers. 17 will be Elton John, Madman Across the Water. I think that's the best written piano album that he ever did. So, and I know I'm the only one that probably has Elton John on the list, but I don't really care. All right, real quick, take for a station break before we get to 16. For all of those out there that might be interested in advertising with That Nerd Show, you can advertise for as low as $25 a month and reach thousands of potential customers and followers and whatnot. And all you got to do is call 888-901-4665 to find out about your advertising opportunities. So you should definitely make that call. Okay. Number 16, Sweet 16. How about you, Amberlyn?
OK Computer by Radiohead. It was almost Pablo Honey, but then my sister-in-law would have skinned me alive.
Well, they're both great albums, but I understand. I get it.
Yes, because Pablo Honey's the one you like if you don't like Radiohead. OK Computer's the one you like if you do.
Right. Good point. Sheila, what's your Sweet 16?
Mine was Pink Floyd, but it was The Wall.
Okay. All right.
I had to pick between, and that's what I picked.
I know. Isn't that hard with Pink Floyd? It's like debating.
Did it? I mean, it was work to figure that one out.
Okay.
What? Little technical difficulties there. That was weird.
Yes, that was a little weird. I wasn't bad-mouthing Pink Floyd, I promise. No, but it's so hard to pick. I don't think Skynet
liked your opinion there, Marcus. I
guess not. But this goes to show it's too hard to pick between those two albums. You almost just need to flip a coin. Brendan, who's 16 for you?
Well, I've got a lot of metal on mine, but I've got a lot of different types of metal. This is a more symphonic metal. It's Ghost Opera by Camelot.
Okay.
Nice choice.
Thank you.
Wow. I haven't listened to that one in a while. See? I feel like I'm getting kind of a boring list here compared to everybody.
No.
That's a great choice. Okay, so again, continuing with my piano rockers, 16, my sweet 16 is going to be Billy Joel the Stranger. I think that's the best album he ever did, from top to bottom. So, just because it doesn't have Piano Man on it doesn't mean it's not a fantastic album. And from a piano player perspective and storytelling, absolutely. So, got to go with some Billy Joel. All right.
All right.
Number 15. How about you, Amberlyn?
This is where I differ from Sheila. In Utero, Nirvana.
Wow.
It's a good one.
Debate between the two Nirvana albums.
Oh, no. I mean, Nevermind is definitely the one that everybody loves, but In Utero is the one where I felt Kurt had a little bit more fun.
I think, yeah, I could see that. But you know what? Again, I mean, it's kind of hard to pick. It's kind of hard to pick between those albums to begin with. You know, and I mean, you're right. Nevermind's the popular one, and it's such a great album. But it's usually, you know, the lesser popular ones that are always kind of the hidden gems. So, right. The two great Nirvana albums. Okay, so Sheila, how about you? What's 15?
Mine was Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble with Instep.
Okay.
Nice. I forgot to put Stevie on my list. I'm a little ashamed.
I needed some Texas rock in there.
Stevie was going to be my 25, but I figured I needed to put some Robert Johnson in there just for the roots of the list. But yeah. And everybody does realize, and I hope all of our fans realize, no, Stevie Ray Vaughan was not born in Austin, Texas. He was born right here in the Metroplex at Oak Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, so. Brendan, what's 15 for you?
For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, Van Halen. Back before Eddie was an asshole and kicked out Michael Anthony so his son could play bass and badmouthed his best friend of 30 years, Michael Anthony, to the press. Yeah. I have a very hard time even admitting that it has to be on my list, but it does for many reasons. So I debated putting David Lee Roth, Van Halen on there, but I couldn't do it because For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge was the first Van Halen album I bought. So that's why it gets the nod.
Well, but that's the epitome of the Jack Black question from High Fidelity. Do you penalize a once great artist for their later sins? And I don't think you really do. I think you remember them for their greatness.
No, the person, yes.
Yes. Very true.
So, it's not Alex's fault his brother is an alcoholic schmuck.
Very true. All right, so 15 for me is Ramones. That's where I put the Ramones album. So, hands down. Yeah. Number 14, Amberlyn.
16 Stone by Bush.
Okay. Classic from our high school days, Brendan.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm coming to gather that I'm the angry one in this group today.
a lot of angsty music.
A lot of really rocky, angry things I have.
Do you want some glycerine or something?
No, I'm okay.
Because we know a guy.
Funny story about that song. My friend rewrote it Weird Al style to make it Listerine.
Nice.
I don't remember all the lyrics for it now, but it was pretty hilarious. So
cool. Sheila, what's 14 for you?
Mine's Depeche Mode Violator.
Nice. See, everybody.
Yep.
You're gonna put Depeche Mode on there. You gotta. Yeah. You gotta. That's the best album they ever did, hands down. Brendan, what about you?
So here's my duet album, Riding with the King, Eric Clapton and B.B. King.
Yes.
Oh, that one's perfect.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I find it interesting. Brendan and I put our Clapton albums in the same place, and we did not plan this. It just happened. Okay, but I don't go with the duet album, no matter how good it is, and it's a fucking fantastic album. But I think Garrett Clapton's genius goes back to the earlier bands that he was in before he started doing solo work.
Sure.
So I put Cream with Disraeli Gears. I think,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. To me, I think he was at his best with Cream, and that's the best album they ever did. So
I almost did From the Cradle instead, but then I was like, nah, it's better with B.B. King. Everything's better with B.B. King.
Well, absolutely.
So yeah. Plus, that also allowed me to get Clapton and King on my list without having to do 2 spots for both of them. So
nice.
There you go.
Nice. That's also like my first honorable mention. It's like I need to put B.B. King somewhere on there, especially with him passing away this year. But that's a good way to do it. Genius way of doing it. Okay, number 13. How about you, Amberlyn?
Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson. I'm not making this any lighter as we get towards number 1.
I'm half expecting some Rob Zombie and Cannibal Corpse. Whoops, looks like you forgot one.
See, it's hard to do just 25. How about you, Sheila?
Cure Disintegration.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. It's all about how you put that on that list. How about you, Brendan?
So I'm going around the world for this one. It's a Finnish folk metal band. They're called Korpiklani, and the album was Spirit of the Forest. It's really cool. They use violins, they use squeeze boxes, they use a whole bunch of instruments you don't normally hear in metal, and they tell stories like folk music. And they just happen to do it in a metal setting. So I really love those guys. They're really cool.
Cool. For me, 13 is Leonard Skinner. Leonard Skinner, their first album, best album they ever did.
Weird man.
I had to put Leonard Skinner on there. I think, again, if you're going to look at the roots of music and all that, if you're going to take a trip down south, it can't all just be like British rock and everything. It's, Leonard Skinner's a great band. And I don't have a problem with people wearing Leonard Skinner T-shirts with the Confederate the Army of the Northern Virginia battle flag.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight. And stuff like that. But, I mean, it's just, such a great album. You pretty much, start with Tuesday's Gone and you end on Freebird. So
yeah, that's
where I throw it. All right, number 12. What's number 12 for you, Amberlyn?
Further up the list from you guys is Ramones by Ramones.
There you go. We're kind of all agreeing on that one, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's the one album we all have on there.
I can honestly brag that I have seen the Ramones live, Lollapalooza 1996 here in the Metroplex, last tour they ever did before Joey Ramone died. And that's how I got into the Ramones. So
nice.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Sheila? What's number 12?
Well, mine is the Ramones also, but I went with Rocket to Russia.
Okay. Good album. How about you, Brendan?
Who's Next? The Who.
Nice.
I'm
for
a big
me,
Who guy, I tell you.
I love the Who. For me, The Clash, London Calling. You got to have The Clash on your list. I'm sorry. And I think London Calling is the best album they ever did. It should probably be further up on my list. Actually, it should probably be a couple spots up higher than what it is, but that's where I have it. So,
okay.
All right, number 11, Amberlyn.
Just take everything you just said and play that back because it's London Calling by The Clash.
There you go.
And the fact that it's got 17 songs on it too. I mean, it's like the branch of Jostrom. Yeah.
It's epic because it is that long and it doesn't get boring ever.
No. You feel like it's like a compilation like greatest hits, and you realize, no, this is just one album of music. But the greatest hits is pretty much half of London Calling.
Yeah, but isn't it also like the third album they released in England and like the first album they released here too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's the first American release. Yeah.
Yeah, London Calling is what introduced America to them. Or I mean,
it was the new British invasion in the early '80s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, very cool. What's number 11 for you, Sheila?
Mine is the Beatles again with Abbey Road.
Okay. See, I actually have both your Beatle albums on my list too. They're just in my top 10. Because again, I think those are the two best albums they ever did. Brendan, what's number 11?
Well, I know somebody else already put this on the list. I just put it a little higher. At Folsom Prison, Johnny Cash.
Still a great album. Yeah. And also, it should be noted too that for all the music biography movies out there, I mean, Jamie Foxx, doing Ray was phenomenal, but Walk the Line was actually a very incredible movie. Okay, so number 11 for me, I got to go with Marvin Gaye. What's going on? Got to have some Marvin Gaye on there. I just wish I could sing Marvin Gaye.
We all know why Marcus has that on the list. Okay,
anyway.
Moving on.
All right, so this is where we get into the top 10. The creme de la creme of all of our lists are the top 10 albums that we would all listen to. So, number 10. And we got about 18 minutes in this show, and we're going to get down to the wire here. Number 10. What's number 10 for you, Amberlyn?
Crimson by Alkaline Trio. It was their first album where they really had everything together and put together a really great pop punk album.
I would go with that. That's another honorable mention for me, especially if you're a punker. So, what's number 10 for you, Sheila?
Mine was Weezer, the Blue Album.
Nice. Brendan, number 10.
My only double album on the list, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 by Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Too bad shortly after that, Axl went crazy.
Yeah. And then we had to wait how many years for Chinese Democracy?
And it was terrible.
Yes, it
anyway.
was. Yeah, so terrible. I actually got it for $1 at Dollar Tree as a joke. So,
what's your number 10, Marcus?
The Eagles, Hotel California. I can't have a list without the Eagles on there. And Hotel California is easily their best album. Did I hear a groan in there? Who was groaning about the Eagles?
No one was groaning. They said, "Oh, that's cute."
That might be worse. Anyway.
Wow. First Frank was insulted. Now the Eagles. What kind of show is this turning into?
And we're still getting fired.
All right, number 9, Amberlyn.
Vampire Weekend by Vampire Weekend. It's my guilty pleasure record, and it's just spot on every time you listen to it.
I like that album. Great album. How about you, Sheila?
Mine was AC/DC Back in Black. That's kind of my, that's that one everybody can sing along to and have a good time.
Well, it was the greatest comeback in rock history. They had just lost their front man. They come back with Back in Black, and it's absolutely amazing top to bottom.
Yeah. Brendan, how about you?
A little different for me from the rest of my list, but I think you guys will all appreciate this one. Legend, Bob Marley.
Okay. Nice.
Appreciated.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. 9, that's where I get my Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin number 1. Really, I should probably just put Led Zeppelin 1 through 4, but I only just put the one album. But really, those first 4 albums should just be a box set. So, all right, number 8.
Revive by Malice Miser, and that is another Japanese rock band. They actually were one of the initial Visual K, which is a theatrical performance with music band.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. Sheila?
Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers.
Nice. Very nice. You and I have 2 Rolling Stone albums. Mine are obviously in the top 10, but I switched up. Between Let It Bleed and Sticky Fingers. I like Let It Bleed just a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, how about you, Brendan? Number 8.
The Doors by The Doors.
All right. Me, I go with Beach Boys, Pet Shop Sounds.
Oh, God.
I gotta have the Beach Boys in there. I'm sorry. It's a great.
That's respectable.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mark this shit.
It should probably be lower down on the list than, like Violator Up or something, but I have the Beach Boys there. I love the Beach Boys. That's my guilty pleasure. All right.
Okay.
Number 7. What's your number 7?
No Substance
Amberlyn?
by Bad Religion.
Great
Okay,
album.
Yeah.
Oh. Sheila?
Mine was Green Day Dookie.
I misheard that so hard.
I knew somebody was going to do that. All right, that's cool. I got nothing against it.
Okay,
No.
I like Green Day, but, I didn't pick them.
I do too. Brendan, what's your number 7?
You're number 9, Led Zeppelin.
Nice.
So yeah, had to be top 10. I mean, come on, it was the birth of one of the best rock bands of all time. So.
Well, it was either picking them or Black Sabbath, and I think Led Zeppelin wins every time. Not that I hate Black Sabbath or that Ozzy had a solo career, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where I go Bob Dylan. It was very hard to choose between a number of his albums, but I picked Blood on the Tracks because it's the last album really where he's still folk and hasn't gone completely electric yet, and I think when you're right on that cusp, if you're a Bob Dylan fan, just the whole album is just beautifully written and stuff. So, and you've got the very famous song, Shelter from the Storm on it. So, that's what I picked for 7. Number 6. What do you got, Amberlyn?
The Art of Drowning by AFI.
All right. Interesting. Nice. Sheila?
Led Zeppelin 4.
There you go.
Really, you could just pick any 4 of those albums and just put it in place of Led Zeppelin, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Brendan, what's number 6?
Are You Experienced? The Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Yeah. Me, this is where I put Beatles' Abbey Road. And George Harrison is actually my favorite Beatle. Just pointing that out. So, all right. Get to the last 5 of the list. What's number 5 for you, Amberlyn?
This is where I put Back in Black by AC/DC.
There you go.
Nice. Sheila?
This is where I have The Doors by The Doors.
Nice. Well played.
Brendan, how about you?
Well, you guys both said that, London Calling should have been higher on your list. Don't worry, I got you covered. Number 5, London Calling, The Clash.
Nice.
Right.
And for all the reasons you guys discussed, 17 songs, and you don't get bored listening to the whole thing. As a matter of fact, you can just put it on repeat.
Right. It really should just be called a greatest hits album, but so.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me, Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed, because I love the way it ends with you can't always get what you want. First time really you had like organs mixed in with music. So, and to have a little quote from High Fidelity, one of the greatest music movies ever, you can never play it at a wedding because it's automatic disqualification with its association with the chill, the big chill. Just saying. All right, number 4. What's number 4 for you, Amberlyn?
Picaresque by the Decemberists.
Okay. Cool. That's a great album by them, too.
It is. I really, really like it, and the Mariner song is amazing.
Sheila, how about you? What's number 4?
Mine was Steve Miller Band, Abracadabra.
Nice.
Yeah, Steve
Brendan?
Miller Band didn't make it onto my list. I was thinking about it, but it didn't. This is where I put Back in Black by AC/DC. Because I'm a huge AC/DC fan. So, yeah, that's my Back in Black. I got him at number 4.
Well, I didn't totally rock out at number 4 because I'm such a huge fan of Van Morrison. This is where I put Aristotle Weeks. And from a Van Morrison perspective, that whole album is just amazing. I think that's just the absolute brilliance of Van Morrison as a poet and singer, and gets beyond what the song Brown Eyed Girl, which really made him famous. So that's where I throw in my Van Morrison. Got to have that, and I can listen to the entire album and never get tired. And I still think it's better than Moondance. So anyway, number 3. What's number 3 for you, Amberlyn?
Actually, I'm looking at this. It should be my number 2, but Supernatural by Carlos Santana.
There you go. Nothing wrong with Santana.
No, not at all. Sheila, how about you?
Mine was The Cars by The Cars.
Nice. I was wondering if anybody was going to put The Cars. I almost did, but Brendan, number 3.
Nobody's put this band on their list yet, and I had to put this album on because it provided basically the soundtrack for 2 of the greatest, cheesiest 80 movies of all time, Iron Eagle and Highlander. It's A Kind of Magic by Queen.
Nice. I almost did. I did. I knew that you'd probably throw that out there because we've talked about this before. Yeah.
I have 2 songs from A Kind of Magic on my workout playlist, so yeah.
And by the way, that entire album is pretty much the greatest hits disc 2 of Queen as well. And I think it's actually the first time that you had an entire album that was used as a soundtrack of 2 different movies in the 80s. Kind of a record there. All right, number 3 for me. This is as much as I love Abbey Road and it's my favorite album, I don't think it is the actual best. I do think Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is their best album from it being written and stuff. So yeah, that's where I put that album, number 3. Okay. Number 2. What's your number 2, Amberlyn?
Black Market Music by Placebo.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a respectable album. It needs more love.
Fair enough.
Hey, it's respect. It's a great album. Sheila, how about you? What's your number 2?
Mine was White Stripes Elephant.
Okay. Brendan, number 2 for you.
Tommy the Who.
I knew it had been up on your list. I just didn't know
Of course it was.
Yeah. All right. You can't have a great rock list without Jimi Hendrix, and like Brendan, Jimi Hendrix, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, that's my number 2. Fantastic album. So I could probably put it at number 1, but there's one album that I absolutely love and listen to over and over that will be my number 1. And I'll tell everybody here in a minute. What's your number 1, Amberlyn?
Violator by Depeche Mode, Where It Belongs.
Okay, I'll rework my list and at least get into the top 10. But it can't be number 1 for me. I should probably be ashamed of myself for not at least putting it in the top 10. I'll admit that. But...
Well, it's okay. I got you.
Sheila, what do you got? Sheila?
Sheila?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Mine is Soundgarden, Super Unknown.
Cool. I didn't think Soundgarden would make a list, but that's cool.
Yeah. Great album. Brendan, how about you?
It had to be because it was the very first piece of music I ever bought with my own money. It was an LP. It was record, vinyl. Bought it with birthday money or something. And my favorite holiday growing up was Halloween, so it's Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Nice.
I wanted to put Thriller on my list, but it just
I had to.
Unfortunately,
it was like the best. It was the best-selling album of all time for like 40 years until somebody finally beat it. I forget who, but
right.
Yeah.
No, it definitely belongs on the list there. Love or Hate Michael Jackson. I mean, it's just a great album, and it,
don't
you know,
get me wrong. He went batshit crazy later in life, but when he was young and still black, it was awesome.
Right. When he was still black. No, and it's one of those albums that does truly define the '80s. So, for me, number one, Exit on Main Street, Rolling Stones. You don't get better than that. I mean, and I want to point this out. This is what I was talking about, you know, us swapping like the second album, Sheila. The Rolling Stones were at their pinnacle between these four albums. You know, Exit on Main Street, Sticky Fingers, Let It Bleed, and then Beggar's Banquet. And after that, it was like, okay, you've hit your peak. Not that you won't write great music or that, you know, or anything like that. It's just those were the four best albums they ever did. And Exit on Main Street, it's bluesy. Just love it. So
actually, Michael Jackson Thriller is still the most sold album of all time.
Is
Number
it really?
Two is ACD. Certified 42.4 million in sales, claimed 51 to 65. Number 2 is AC/DC's Back in Black. Number 3 is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Number 4, God Help Us, is The Bodyguard by Whitney Houston.
God.
Number 5 is Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. Number 6 is Eagles, The Greatest Hits, 71 to 75. Number
you mean
7,
Meatloaf? Beef?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Number 7. Well, these are best selling, just not because they're the best ever. Just But those
like
are number 7. Number 7 is even worse. It's the Bee Gees, and number 8 is Fleetwood Mac.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, somebody's
but at least
classic
the top
station
3
is
are
not
awesome.
playing it too much.
Yeah. At least
I
the
almost
top 3 are awesome. So.
I almost put like Meatloaf in there because I do like. I mean, I think he's talented and all that, and I think Bat Out of Hell, you know, 1 and 2 are great albums. You know, from that just operatic, and I mean he's such a presence on stage. And we still haven't figured out, you know, what's the one thing he wouldn't do for love.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. All right. So there you go, fans. Our top 25 greatest albums of all time. And I know some of you out there are disagreeing, but we challenge you to write your own. What are the ones that really mean something to you that you're going to listen to over and over? And there's nothing wrong with having honorable mentions, especially if, you know, there's a certain album that just means something to you from your childhood. Like Green Day Dookie. I mean, it's a great album. No, hey, it is. It definitely belongs in there. But that does very much take me back to high school.
Oh, yeah.
And for the one fan out there who asked me if I was going to put Vanilla Ice in our list, no. Just because it's nostalgic, everybody knows the words to Ice, 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 Baby. You know, I prefer to listen to the better song called Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
All right, so from every now and again, we're going to be doing some music shows, and we do have a challenge for all of our fans out there before we close the show out. But for all you Beatles fans out there, we want you to take your top 21 Beatles songs and put them in order on how they should be played. And Sheila and I are going to be doing the same thing and publishing a blog post here in a week or two as we keep finalizing our list of how it should be. But it's hard trying to put them in order. So that's what your challenge is for all you Beatle fans. All right, we will be back next week. We have a very special show. We're going to be talking about the greatness of the year 1994. Was it the best year in entertainment? Because there's a lot of great things that happened, and we're going to be debating that. So, nerds, stick around for next week, and then we'll be off for a little while, and then we'll be back. But stay tuned to thatnerdshow.com for blogs and reviews and whatnot. And we encourage everybody to stay nerdy. And I want to thank Sheila and Amberlyn for being on the show and helping us discuss the top 25 greatest albums of all time in our own little universe. So,
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. And for all you fans out there, I think we've firmly discussed Violator by Depeche Mode should definitely be on your list, and you're definitely an idiot if you don't have The Clash on there. That's just a fact. All right. We are out of here, and we will be back next week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right.